All right, y'all. Welcome to the Sports Debaters podcast. We're gonna be talking NBA today, as we do every Saturday. NBA talk every Saturday, 9:30 Central Standard Time. Uh, I got Coach in the building, of course. My co-host, and of course, we got guest Jared Robinson. We're gonna be talking about a few things. The first thing I wanted to talk about, I wanted to talk. I'm gonna start with you, Jared. I wanted to talk about the Jaylen Brown and Ben Simmons rumors. Brad Stevens came out. He said on the radio show that he told Jaylen Brown he don't have nothing to worry about. So, do you think Brad Stevens is being truthful, or you think he blowing smoke? What y'all think? What you think, Jared?
Uh, I can't remember who it was. In some league, there was like they talked to the coach and they said I wasn't being traded, and then as soon as the season started, they were traded. So I I don't put too much stock in front office people being like we not gonna move you, you part of our future, blah blah blah. Because I mean, if the money right or if they feel like the fit right, then they go pull the trigger, even if you know it don't necessarily turn out great. Because I mean, the Celtics have made a lot of interesting moves over the years that hasn't exactly panned out. So I understand it. Why he come out and say something like that, especially with all the rumors. Um, this not even necessarily a detriment on Ben Simmons in particular. I don't understand. I don't know what's going on with the Celtics to be like that's gonna work, especially for Jaylen Brown in exchange. It's like I seen some people in the group was like, they need to split them up, and I was like, I mean, not really. It's not like they've been together for 10 years, and you know, it just hasn't worked. It's like the Celtics have been successful with them two. They've been to conference finals. They've lost to better teams. Um, I think the Celtics' biggest problem is everybody surrounding them are just makeshift players. They just plug and play players that they just keep getting in, or for Al Horford case, they get rid of and then plug back in. And the players really don't fit. It's just a bunch of decent players individually, but none of them fit. So it's all the odd fit for the Celtics. So maybe if you can pull the Ben Simmons trade without moving Jaylen Brown, I think it might work. I think you get more, ball movement than you would have with Marcus Smart. I think you get a better defender than Marcus Smart. Um, but you would have to move other pieces, I guess, for the money to work. And they already thin as a team. So moving too much, I think it'll be, counterproductive. So I think the best move for the Celtics is not to go through with the trade. 'Cause I think any move is either a lateral move or you get worse. Um, and again, like I said, that's not even a Ben Simmons thing. That's just how the Celtics are constructed currently. That any kind of big move like that is like they need several players. They don't need one big star player to, do everything. It's like they need several players. And so whatever trade that they go with, they need to move some players and get some other players, and not just move a bunch of players to get one player. I don't think any trade they do should involve just one player. They need multiple.
Okay. Now, Jordan, me and you had this discussion once before, and we talked about it on Facebook. We said we was gonna bring it up to the podcast. I personally said, while Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum, while they're the hottest, they're really hot right now. They really Jaylen Brown's probably the best Celtics player they had this year. What y'all think? What do y'all think? Jason Tatum and is better than Jaylen Brown or not? Jaylen Brown has been the Celtics' best player this year. Uh, but I personally think you should trade Jaylen Brown. Not for Ben Simmons. I think that would be a terrible trade. But I think you should trade Jaylen Brown because to me, I don't think Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum could win a championship together. I just don't. I think it's more that y'all remember when Westbrook and Durant was playing. It was that your turn, my turn. That's what I see when I look at the Celtics. That's what I see, and I don't think you could win like that. And they're both great players, but I think you should trade Jaylen Brown and get something that would will complement Jason Tatum even more. What's your
But
think?
what kind of player would you trade for?
Well, last night when they played Milwaukee, you seen Dennis Schroeder drop 38 points. Now you're not gonna get that from Dennis Schroeder. You're gonna get that from Dennis Schroeder maybe once a month. Like 30, you're gonna get that from Dennis Schroeder probably once a month. So I will go make a play. Go after Dame. Like make a play for Dame. Like why not? Like make a splash move. Like you don't think that would be a good trade? Damian Lillard for Jaylen Brown, not a one-on-one, but those be the main two focuses. And the
I
way
actually don't think that's a terrible trade.
well, the way Dame been, that probably would have been a terrible trade last year, but the way Dame been playing this year, he been playing more of a point guard role and letting Norman Powell and CJ McCollum get the bulk of the shots. And he just fall in. I think a trade like that would work.
That's not a terrible trade, especially how Damian Lillard is playing this year, being a facilitator first, regardless of the reasoning around it. Like, a lot of people are making a big deal about the calls and whatnot. Regardless of why he's being more facilitated first, it works. Um, I mean, it's not working for the team overall, but I think him as that player, we've seen Damian Lillard in the past. I mean, Damian Lillard has always been a good passer. It's just he's always been, the primary scorer. So this year is a little different. So you get to really highlight his passing abilities.
What you think, Jordan?
Um, I think that every year or every other year, we pick and choose what we're gonna place the blame on instead of just letting it develop. When Kyrie was there, we signed him too. Um, Other than that, then they make it to the conference finals. It's like, oh, David Young, they'll be back and have it. Then the expectation doesn't happen, then all of a sudden they gotta blow it up. Like right now, Atlanta's not having the same success as I thought they would after making it to the finals. So people are already talking about trades and what to be done and why they're not having outright success. And it's only 11 season, 11 4 games. So my opinion, pieces around Boston can score. That's the thing. Ennis Cantor has left Boston and Portland and played hot shots for the last 2 years. Al Horford has just come back. There's no set. There's been no set point guard. Terry Rozier and Kyrie, and now they have Dennis Schroeder. Marcus Smart being a pivotal piece as well. I think that they have to have a set core and a foundation. This is what we're going to build around the complementary pieces. Golden State became who they were because the core has been Clay, Draymond, and Steph, and they got complementary pieces around them. Just like of course other teams as well. That's going to be built on. Philly has been the core before Ben Simmons debacle has been an Embiid and build around that. Atlanta Hawks, Trey Young, and John Collins. I mean, the list goes on. My thought process is they have to have a conversation as far as who's gonna be the 1-2 guy, the 1-2 punch like LeBron and Wade had in Miami Heat. Because when you have the "it's my turn, it's your turn" situation, you're gonna have a lot of situations that you had. But until Wade had the conversation with LeBron, here are the keys, we're gonna let you drive it. I follow your lead. The same way that he's trying to do with AD with the Lakers, is how things work out. I don't see much wrong because besides this year, Jason Tatum has been the go-to, the pivotal figure, the number one option there. Jaylen Brown tried to resurgence over the last 2 years. Jason has been continuing to show a rise and trajectory over the last 2 years. And right now, because he's having a trying year, he's under the microscope. So I'm not hitting the panic button. I'm not jumping on that wagon because Giannis and people had a full roster change to where they're the only two, and you see the end result that they've had with confident pieces. So in my opinion, I don't think a trade needs to happen this year. I don't think a trade needs to happen with them right now. In their time as far as in depth and working with them. That's just my opinion.
All right, what's your thoughts on it, Coach?
I think the Celtics ran into the same problem that the Trailblazers ran into. When you have two players that play the same position and play alike, it works in theory, and it's gonna bounce off the topic that we had later, the basketball that the Warriors influence. Uh, they do need a trade. I do not see that Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum winning a title together. Again, they have had success. This is true. They have had much playoff success, but I just don't think that those two guys can play together and win you a title. Simple fact again, they both need the ball in their hand. They both create offense. They both go get you buckets. The biggest thing that they need a facilitator to add to that team. Uh, and you got to give up one of them to get you a solid facilitator. I don't know why Ben Simmons' name comes up in that trade. I don't think that you end up where you want to be. For the simple fact that you still need you're giving up your second, or depending on how you look at it, your first best scoring option for somebody who's hesitant to score. Ben Simmons is only going to flourish in a system where there's shooters around, where there's going to be multiple guys that can get you buckets, where his lack of scoring, where his unwillingness to shoot the ball doesn't matter. You trading a Jaylen Brown away, you're taking away half of your one scoring punch for a guy that's going to play good defense. He's going to feed Jason Tatum the ball. But when it comes down to that crunch time, we know when it comes down to playoff basketball, you got to have you create a shot. You have multiple guys that can knock down big shots. You got to have multiple guys that can get you a bucket when it comes down to that last 4 minutes. And as we saw that in the last playoff, you can't count on Ben Simmons to do that for you. Right? Ben Simmons is not the guy that you want with 4 minutes left to go and say, "Hey, go give me a bucket." He's not that guy. I don't exactly think he fits in Boston unless you're gonna totally deplete your bench and add him to Jaylen and Jason Tatum. Again, which doesn't make sense for the Boston Celtics. I'm a big fan. I like the Atlanta Hawks trade. Would they like to trade Jaylen within the same conference? I doubt they would want to do that, but the Atlanta Hawks is probably the deepest team in the NBA. They have assets that are luxury, literally luxury for them. And I'm pretty sure they can put a package together to land Jaylen Brown. I think a Trae Young, Jaylen Brown team would give people fit. I actually like that fit for him. I actually like that a little bit more than the Dame for Jaylen Brown trade. But again, I don't see Ben Simmons solving the Celtics problem. They do need to get off one of them. I just don't see that Ben Simmons solving it. To the greater point, is Jaylen Brown safe? No, I just think that's the lip service that GMs have to say to their star players to keep their heads in the game. But I do think that they should look to move where they want to improve their chances of actually taking that next step. They played the Eastern Conference Championship, and they've always come to that head. You just can't play with each other, especially if you have a guy, no true point guard that's going to facilitate the offense. That's going to not just you me basketball like you alluded to with OKC when they had Durant Westbrook. You had to have a guy that's going to facilitate the offense, that's going to get others involved and let these guys flourish as well as set up others on the team. Again, I just don't think Ben Simmons fit there, but I would actually look at that Atlanta for Jaylen Brown package with Atlanta's young players, maybe a draft pick or two to facilitate that trade.
Let
All
me
right.
ask you a question. What facilitating point guards are still out there besides Chris Paul, Lonzo, and I would say Rubio? What facilitating point guards can you send over to Boston to help complement Tatum if you want to get rid of Brown?
Well, when I say facilitate, I'm just talking about a point guard that's not going to be a ball-hungry point guard. Let me just say it like that. I would like they could make a play for De'Aaron Fox, one of my favorite young point guards. I don't think Sacramento would cry off him that easy. But again, when I mean a facilitated point guard, I'm just talking about a point guard that's not a score first mentality. score all the way, all the time. That like Dennis Schroeder. Dennis Schroeder is a score first point guard. Uh, he looks to get his shot, and then he looks to get others involved secondarily. They just need a guy that's going to be a facilitator first. Not saying that he can't, but just somebody that knows that it's more important to get your teammates involved and then look for your shot. There's a few of those around.
Yeah, we know that the point guard position now is more of a score first then pass, more so than facilitate the pass and score. So I just asked that just in general because we're looking for these pieces. After Chris Paul and Lonzo, I mean that's few and far between as a facilitating point guard. That's why that is.
Hey, speaking of
I mean,
Lonzo, oh, go ahead, coach. Go ahead, coach.
no, go ahead.
No. I was about to move on to the next topic. You got something else to add?
Nah, I was just saying, like, again, I think the bigger problem is them. Is, like I said, they haven't had a solid guard. Uh, I think if you had add a solid guard play to that, you could keep both Jaylen and Jason Tatum. But again, to get that type of guard, you'd have to deplete your whole bench, and then you're back to square one.
Well, Jordan, I heard you bring up Lonzo. The Warriors and Bulls last night. I don't know if you watched the game, but Steph Curry, anybody who tried to guard him last night, anybody, anybody, like he gave buckets to. I seen Lonzo, I seen Levine. I even seen anybody who tried to guard Steph Curry last night gave him buckets. I know you're a fan of the Warriors, Jay, so I'm gonna start with you. Are the Warriors a real threat to the NBA this year? When I say real threat, I mean everybody want to see the Lakers and Brooklyn in the finals. But can the Warriors be that team in the West to mess that up? I'm gonna start with you, Jay.
You got
You
three
can
J's,
cancel
bro.
that shit. You can cancel that.
Good J, bro. You got three J's on here right now.
Jordan.
You can't, bro. You can't figure just say dog. You got Jared.
I call Coach, and I call Jared.
Oh, my bad, dog. I didn't know if you were flipping up and just just do it like that, kind of like an Allen. Whoever go get it, go get it. I think absolutely, man. And I just had this conversation last night. Me for sure, liking Steph being my favorite player, not a way to retire. It's safe to say that little to nobody had real faith in the Warriors other than the Warriors as far as them being what they are. Kind of shocking everybody. But what I do like that Kurt does is that for one, he invests in the team in the depth of his bench. He's got a lot of that confidence to where he gives them playing time, builds their confidence, what have you. This is pretty much with the exception of Otto Porter, Gary Payton too, and one other. I got slip on mine. Of course, the rookies, but one other I'm slipping on. Oh, and Bella it's pretty much the same team as last year. Now, Gary Payton too has been a pivotal part off of the bench as far as defense, but this is the same team that a lot of people wrote off last year as far as them not being them not being a notable threat or factor, and them not really making a wave. You have Steph right now building confidence with Jordan Poole, with Otto Porter. Obviously, Draymond is there coaching everybody as well. In addition to not Otto Porter, Gary Payton Jr. and the experience that they all vibe together. That's only going to be scary when Clay's coming back. And Clay's going to work his minutes up and get back into game shape. But you still got Clay that's coming back. I don't put too much stock into Wiseman because he still has a lot to learn and he has a lot of experience to gain. But his presence as well is going to be something to consider. So hell yeah, I see them as a notable threat because they take on the challenge of them still being a jump shooting team, and they still take on the challenge of being counted out as last year, this year as well, especially playing Steph's confidence, as well as the depth that they have now with the shooting, as well as the defensive rating that they have. So hell yes, they're a pivotal threat, man. Because besides the Lakers coming out of the West, I'm trying to think of other notable threats. It's going to be Denver. The Clippers, depending upon if and when Kawhi comes back. I mean, but right now the Warriors definitely pose a pivotal threat to the Lakers and anybody else in the West because of how they're playing and because they only want to get better when Clay comes back. and they have a high defensive rating. And this is what I brought up as well when people try to play Steph. Steph right now has a high defensive rating from point guard. You don't get that from somebody who can't play defense. It doesn't make sense, and it doesn't happen in one season. He just wasn't. I mean, and the best defensive player can't stop the best offensive player. It just period. It won't happen. It's like that post that was made about Kobe and all the people that dropped buckets in Kobe's head, and Kobe was known as the right. No matter how nice you are, you're not gonna stop an offensive player. So in conclusion, hell yeah, they're pivotal for that.
Oh yes, I definitely agree. Great offense beat great defense 100% of the time. It is what it is. Jeremy Anderson, you on Jeremy?
Bro, you have to stop using my full name. You have got to stop doing that. I think I'm the only person you do that to.
Hey, July worked for the Feds part time, bro. So you just
Hey, I think he worked for the Feds, man. But my record clean, so.
Jeremy, what you think about Jordan saying he didn't bring up your Phoenix Suns being a threat? What
Don't
you
worry
think?
about it, man. The Suns' revenge tour is live. We're going to continue making people mad with what we're doing. I don't like what we got going on contractually with Aiden. I hated that. Hate it, man. But they're gonna be competing, bro. Can we get back to the finals? I absolutely believe we can. Will it be easy? Absolutely not. The Warriors are not playing with people, man. And people and listening to us and others discount them. Uh, the rule changes and affect Steph, obviously. Man is a bucket. Draymond looks like he actually wants to play basketball again. No more of the lob to God. He's actually going to the rim dunking the ball. It's shocking to see that. Then Wiggins actually playing like he wants to make $30 million instead of getting talked about. Uh, then you got Gary Payton's son dunking like he Robert Patrick or something. I'm in all of that. But that team is constructed well. But it's also the first quarter of the season. Like they haven't seen anybody get hurt. Any rotational can't do that. So you still run the risk of how the team plays if somebody goes down. But right now they looking real nice. Cindy started off with like 0-3. Now they're like 8-3. So it's a bunch in the air. It's a lot that can happen. It's a lot of seasons. And people are talking about Atlanta playing bad. I mean, they probably should have made it to the conference finals. They overachieved. So when you overachieve and you come back down to reality, it's kind of a culture shock. They'll be fine. Just give them time. And then the scoring is down for certain people that don't like the rule changes. But like James Harden did, players adapt to what's going on. Give them time, they'll adjust, and I think everything will level itself out. But the Suns will definitely at least get to the second round. That's the floor for them. But I really see them going back to the finals. Can they win? I don't know. But that wasn't a flash in the pan. I don't care what anybody says.
All right, Jeremy. Oh, go ahead.
quick rebuttal to that. For one, like he said about the adjustment with James Harden, y'all better not fix your lips again and talk about Harden over Wade anymore. How that boy been playing.
Oh no, sir, absolutely not. They were crazy for that.
That was other cats that tried to school me on the podcast about a week or so ago.
Hold on. Hey, hold on. Hey, we 12 games into the season, and last time I checked, James Harden had a hell of a game last night against your
He
Pelicans.
did.
Right. But I'm more than sure that it wouldn't take Wade 12 games into the goddamn season to establish itself anyway. So y'all gonna stop disrespecting.
Hold on. When the first season with LeBron and Wade, you bring it up all the time. The first season with LeBron and Wade played, they didn't start off all good. What you talking about? They didn't start off.
This is true. We're not
They were
talking.
9-8.
9-8 the first year. You got to get that to
It
17.
looked like they had
But
this season.
at one point in time, then Wade or Brian, last time I checked, go to the media, talk about refs and fouling, and that's affecting my play and my percentages down as well.
Brian, what you talking about? Brian, what you talking
So
about? Brian talks about it all the time.
y'all gonna stop trying to put Harden above Wade, and that's gonna be put to.
I said if Harden won a Finals MVP, I don't have him over Wade right now.
When he wins the Finals MVP, shit's still not close. Secondly,
Man, you tripping if you say they close, cuz.
I would say the only thing I would say, man, the Phoenix Suns would make them even more dangerous than what they are right now is Mikal Bridges taking that next step. instead of him being just a spot up shooter. As far as I know, he does more. He snatches the rim, but as far as him having more confidence in his game, because I know that when they stopped going through Ayton last year against the Bucks, and they was looking for that offense from other areas besides Booker. To me, I felt like Bridges kind of sunk into the shadows. So if he takes that next step into stardom, into developing his game, the Suns can be even more dangerous than what they are right now. Just in my opinion, that's the only rebuttal I have.
All right, Jared, what you think about the Golden State Warriors and Phoenix Suns as far as being threats in the West? You're on mute, Jared.
Going off over there.
Hold up. Say something. Coach, I'm gonna come to you, Coach. What you think about the Phoenix Suns and Golden State Warriors being threats in the West?
You hear me?
Hey man, I said, hey, I'm a Lakers fan, but my favorite team to watch play basketball is the Golden State Warriors, man. And they finally got a team constructed to exactly the style of play that they want to play. Uh, they played 12 guys last night. 11 of them scored, and the only reason why Juan Thomas didn't get a bucket is because he missed his shot. It is a free flowing offense. This back to ball movement cuts when you're not having the ball. It's a beautiful thing to watch, man. I've been a Steph fan. Like you say, whoever got on him last night, it was buckets, barbecue chicken, however you want to call it. Steph got his ditty back, and Clay hasn't even dribbled a basketball this season yet. The Warriors are going to be dangerous, point blank, period. Don't let them add a buyout guy in February, another solidified rim protector. The Warriors are going to give people trouble. They're going to give them fits. I know it's early in the season, but this is the time where this is where teams that practice good basketball, not star-laden teams where you have to worry about chemistry issue. We're talking about teams that has impressive ball movements, where it's 6 passes before a shot is being taken, where they're coming down off double pin down screen. Those are one of the few. There's only like 4 teams in the league that use the double pin down screen off the free throw line extended. You know what I'm saying? That's just good basketball right there. This is where they hone their craft. This is where the shit makes sense. Makes the difference when it comes playoff times, when you got to play half court offense. And we all know what Steph can do, and we all know when Clay gets back, even if Clay is at 80% of what he's accustomed to doing, the Warriors are going to be trouble, man. I honestly think that it's going to be a Warriors Brooklyn type finals. I hate to say it, that, but as long as Russell Westbrook is in the starting rotation and is a key part of the offense in the Lakers, I think that we're gonna underachieve. I hate to say it. Russ just doesn't play winning basketball. We all know that the Warriors play winning basketball. They're back up to that, amping up that defensive intensity. If you watch the defensive rotations last night, man, it was hard for the Bulls to get shots up in certain possessions. If you don't have solidified shooters on your squad, the way that they rotate, the confidence that they have in each other, that know that if a guy beats me off the dribble, people don't pay attention. If you get beat off the dribble, most point guards trail the play. Not with the Warriors. The guy steps up from the back. There's a rotation from the back corner where the point guard, he instinctively, Steph will rotate to the wing instead of trailing the play, because he knows that his defense is going to step up in different sections of the court, and he has to be the last rotation, which would be the last outlet pass. So even when you think that you've drawn the defense in and I'm going to get that wide open wing three, nah, you have a rotator there. That's big time basketball that only gets better with reps during the season. People need to watch out for the Warriors. They're going to be a problem. The team, like I said, the team is constructed to how they was in that first championship, that run. They weren't basically built around 2 superstars. When they added Kevin Durant, one of the greatest scorers that the world has ever seen. You got guys like Jordan Poole, who I've been a fan about. The rookie Kaminga, he's playing good basketball. Andre Iguodala has accepted that role of being the glue guy. Otto Porter, a guy that probably could start in most places in the league, or at least be a qualified six man. That's a guy that comes off the bench that gives you quality minutes, gives you defensive presence, and gives you good basketball IQ. Moody, the other rookie out of Arkansas, the 6'5" two guard, plays defense. He's not a scorer, but he does all the little things. He makes the right passes. He pays attention on defense. He steps up in the passing lanes. This is going to be a team that, as the season goes on, they're going to get better and better. Those rookies are getting quality minutes early in the season, and come postseason time, nobody's going to want to play the Warriors, man.
Hey, I think one person would like to play the Warriors in the finals. I think that person is Kevin Durant. People talk about the storyline.
I can agree.
People talk about the storyline between the Lakers and Nets, but I think the Warriors and Nets would be just as good of a storyline. Yeah, I know you was having mic issues earlier. What you think on the Warriors and Suns being threats in the West?
Y'all can hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you now.
I touched on this last night in the group. I know we only 12 games into the season. We ain't hit that 15 game threshold, and I know teams deal with injuries and resting players later in the season around All-Star break and thereafter. But I mean, for a quality team, you got to rack up the wins early so you can do those things later. The Warriors are doing everything that they're supposed to do to win games, and they're doing it in a variety of ways to the point where you can't pin down one particular thing that the Warriors do that you can game plan for, because if you game plan for this, then in that game they go do something else. And they're really good at doing those things. When I watched them against the Timberwolves the other night, that was a Andrew Wiggins game. Steph Curry, he didn't have the big huge scoring numbers like he usually do, but Andrew Wiggins was like, cool, they go give me this opportunity against my old team. They want me to produce. Not only am I going to do it, I'm going to do it in highlight fashion. Um, I know, especially in the last couple of years, uh, people criticize Steve Kerr about, his coaching, and, he's only a good coach because of this and because of that. It's like, and people didn't want to take into consideration, like, what was on the team. And so for these last 2 years, you got to see the evolution of the Warriors, the re-evolution of the Warriors, get back to what they were doing, and you got to see the process of them doing it. So the first season that Klay Thompson gets hurt, everybody's they got some, fill in the blank players and players I don't even remember from that team, and they're kind of just winging it. Steph Curry was the main guy, but he got hurt early, and so that was the year he broke his hand, I believe, and he missed a lot of the season, and so it forced Draymond Green to be the main guy because he was the only one still there from like the original teams that he's not a scorer, and he did the things that he does. He facilitated and played defense, but nobody else did anything, so the team still was trash. Then you fast forward to last year where you get Steph Curry back for most of the year. He's the scoring leader for the NBA. He's doing the things that he used to. Draymond Green is back to being an all defensive caliber player, and he's guarding all the positions from center to point guard, and you see them hopping all over the place. And then you get to this year, and some of those same players that was on the previous years, like Jordan Poole and Toscana Anderson, is like they instill confidence in them like the Warriors have done in the past, where they've won championships with players that people didn't want, or players that people wasn't thinking about until they got to the Warriors, like Sean Livingston, like Andre Iguodala, players that people wasn't talking about, and they was a high commodity after they played with the Warriors. And so you got those players playing well. Jordan Poole's playing well. Everybody who gets on their floor, I said this last night, everybody who gets on their floor for the Warriors
is contributing somehow. They rebounded, and they moving the ball, they scoring the ball, and is led by the defense from Draymond and Gary Payton Jr. and Andrew Wiggins, and they're going to wings, to guards, to bigs. And this is without Clay, without Wiseman. And so just like y'all touched on, it's like even if you get Clay at 80%, you gotta think Klay Thompson has spent a lot of his career being the second option, and when Kevin Durant, he was the third option, and was still giving you 20 points a game. So if you let him loose, and we seen in playoff games that he can score with the best of them. So once we get to that point, the Warriors are dangerous. I know it's early, but there's nobody in the Western Conference. I give the Suns credit. They're playing well. They're doing things well, especially they got some injuries. DeAndre Ayton is out last couple of games or whatever, but they're playing well, and they played well last year, so they're familiar with each other. So I can give the Suns the benefit of the doubt that they'll be fine. They could be real contenders. Outside of that, the West is not really dangerous at this current juncture. Like the Clippers look good. Shout out to Paul George. The Lakers don't look good. I know it's early. I know LeBron is hurt. I get that, but they old players, so these injuries can reappear later in the year. It just so happened they appeared early in the year. So these are not injuries. They're not huge injuries for LeBron, but domino strain. And I've seen different stories about it. It's like maybe if he was younger, he comes back after a couple of games, but those abdominal strain could turn to a hernia. If it turns to a hernia, you out for months at that point. Now you gotta have surgery. So I understand why he's been out, but at the same time, that man about to be 37 in December. It's like it's not like he's getting any younger. Father Time is still undefeated. He spent a lot of years being the Iron Man, and in the last 3 years he's been with the Lakers, he has dealt with injuries, legitimate injuries. So, they don't heal the same. When he got the ankle injury last year, and he said himself, he'll never be 100% again. Even LeBron fans thought he was lying. Like, oh man, he just saying that. Like, no, that man is older. Like, the body just don't heal the same anymore. I'm not even. That man got 10 years on me, damn near, and my body don't heal the same like it was while I was in high school. So I know playing 20 years of basketball, being 36, your body not gonna heal the same no matter what kind of treatment you're doing. It just go catch up with you. So I think the Warriors are legitimate as it stands. They're piling up wins. So later in the year, they got injuries or somebody got to take a rest. They got the wins to do that. That they know they don't slip far in the standings. So I think the people need to take the Warriors seriously. They're not even at full strength yet, and they're doing everything they're supposed to. This is Warriors basketball that people saw for 5 straight years when they was going to the finals.
A good point about the get the wins earlier so they could rest at the
people.
At the year. What you were saying, Coach?
I'm about to say, I posted something in the group last year. Oh, good.
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
Oh no, I was going. I
posted something in the group last year, and people said I was crazy. Oh no, I was just finishing up with this Warriors topic.
Oh, go ahead.
People said I was crazy when I said that the Golden State Warriors have probably moved themselves up to the most impactful, not the most important, not the best, but the most impactful dynasty in NBA history, man. They have changed the way basketball is being played in the NBA. Hell, they're the reason why the Celtics in the position they're in, because everybody was trying to find guys that can switch everything and have multiple guys that can guard multiple positions. They are probably the most impactful dynasty in NBA history, man. It's amazing.
Hey, shout out to the Golden State Warriors. But since you started on the Lakers topic, I'm gonna go ahead and bring the Lakers up with this next topic. Coach, I'm gonna start with you because you're the Lakers fan on here. I was watching the Blazers game last night, You know, we was playing in Houston. I decided at the last minute not to go to Houston and go to that game, so I ended up just watching the game on TV. Uh, you know, we pretty much did what we were supposed to do, beat a bad Houston Rockets team. So after the game, you know, I started watching, you know, the Lakers and Lakers and who they played last night? Lakers,
Timberwolves
Minnesota.
and Minnesota.
Minnesota. And you know, we was manhandling, we was beating them, you
Timberwolves.
know, easy in the first quarter. We lost. The lead went down a little bit in the second half. So I was like, you know what, man, let me just watch Game of Thrones. I'll just watch the highlights tomorrow. So I'm on my phone. I'm on my phone that night, and it's the third quarter, and we down by 30. Lakers was down by 30. I was like, hold on, coach, what's going on? what happened? Like, tell me what happened, coach. Well, the Minnesota Timberwolves scored 40 points in the third quarter, and the Lakers scored 12. How does that happen, coach?
The the Lakers are just not a good basketball team. It pains me to say this. Jared hit it on the head. LeBron was the Iron Man of the NBA for a decade plus. And this is not a knock. It's just Father Time. He's turned into the Tin Man now. Those injuries don't heal the same. We're watching LeBron get old. We've watched LeBron get older over the last 3 years. Now, keep in mind, LeBron is still a top 5 NBA player. Let's not get it confused. Let's not get it misconstrued. But the days of LeBron being able to put a subpar team on his back or an average team on his back and dragging them to a conference championship or dragging them through the doldrums of the playoffs, those days are no more. Uh, we don't have a roster that fits. And this is no knock to Melo. Right now, Carmelo Anthony has been the most consistent Laker since the beginning of the season. That can't happen if you have your eyes on the championship, right? Melo at this point is not your number one guy. He's a step up role player, is what I call him. He's not a role player in the traditional sense. He's been a superstar in this league. So again, it's not to denigrate his career, but if that is your most consistent player right now, you're in trouble. Anthony Davis as a post can only affect the game so much. A couple of nights ago, when they took Houston to overtime, he had 34 and 12 and looked awesome. But again, post players can only affect the game so much. We have Russell Westbrook, who one game looks like, oh shit, all right, that's the old Westbrook, all right, triple doubles. He was a halfway efficient night, and then you have some games where he'll have 6 turnovers in the fourth quarter. This roster does not fit. Yes, we still have a couple injuries out. Yes, LeBron is not there, but unless we make a real move, we're gonna get embarrassed in the playoffs. If we get in the Clippers in the second round, I could see us getting swept. They may be that vintage LeBron game of 48, 14, and 9 game where he saves a game too. But we don't play well on defense. And that's the thing that I said about Frank Vogel. That's why I didn't mind Frank Vogel. And I said at the end of the day, he's going to get the team to play defense. But we have a couple of guys that's just not interested in defense. The rotations are extremely sloppy. To piggyback off the Warriors, their rotations are crisp. Everybody knows where to rotate. There have been multiple possessions where after the second pass, there's a guy that's wide open with the ball in his hands, and there's 2 Laker defenders looking at each other like, wait, aren't you supposed to go get him? Or was it me? That's not supposed to happen in NBA basketball on the second pass. A guy's wide open off a dribble drive. We're not good defensively. We're not efficient offensively. I think the other night we shot 13% from 3, and we jacked up 32 of them. We're not good at shooting. We're not good at defense. And when LeBron's not there, the offense gets muddled down. We're just not a good basketball team. The Minnesota Timberwolves will not make the playoffs this year, and they scored 40 points in the quarter against us. That kind of tells you everything you need to know about the current state of the Lakers. I said this 2 weeks ago on the podcast. We have the oldest roster in the NBA. We have 9 of our 12 guys over the age of 32 years old. We have names, we have Mellows, we have Westbrooks, we have Howards, we have names, but those aren't they're not the same players they was 6 years ago. If we don't make a major move, we don't get off with Russell Westbrook and get us a shooter. We don't get a package together to get us another scorer. we are going to get embarrassed in the second round of the playoffs. And God forbid that LeBron has an advanced injury. Like we say, that abdominal strain can turn into a hernia. Heaven forbid we get a 7-8 seed and we have to see the Golden State Warriors in the first round of the playoffs. That shit could get very, very ugly. So right now, like I said, this is very sad and humbling to say. Thank Anthony Davis for the title that the bubble ring we got in 2020, but we're just not a good basketball team right now, man.
Coach
It's depressing.
Spencer asks, how can the Lakers turn it around?
Can I before you answer that, Coach? Can I answer one? Can I add one question to that?
What's up?
Go ahead.
I need to know, because if this was Doc Rivers, if this was Steve Kerr, and if this was other coaches, why has Frank Vogel not been on the hot seat more? And pretty much 90%.
Because he has a championship ring.
Yeah, when you have a championship ring, that buys you time. Like that buys
He'll
you
be
time.
fired by January though. Don't worry.
That buys you 3 years.
Just like I said, I'm not gonna. I'll finish my comment afterward. But go ahead, Coach.
Yeah, Coach. Spencer asks, what does the Lakers have to do to turn it around?
They have to trade Russell Westbrook first and foremost. We have to get another shooter. Again, I was disappointed that we didn't get Buddy Hill, the Bahamian assassin. I was a big fan of Buddy Hill coming out of Oklahoma. When they said that we was getting Buddy Hill, I was like, that's a perfect move. You got LeBron has a spot up shooter, but a guy that can also put the ball on the floor, and he's not going to make dumb plays. Russell Westbrook has never played winning basketball. I'm sorry. Again, I love his heart. I love his passion. I love his intensity. I just never wanted him on my team. We have to move Russell Westbrook because he's not going to be the guy. See, Melo, I have a newfound respect for Melo. When Melo was on the edge of being bounced out the league and Portland gave him a shot, he accepted that I am no longer a superstar in the traditional sense. He accepted that I'm going to have to take reduced minutes. I'm going to have to take a reduced role. I'm going to have to come off the bench to and affect the game. Russell Westbrook still believes he's a top 5 NBA basketball player, and everybody in the world knows it's not. Once we move Russell Westbrook, we have to play for a buyout guy in February, and we have to hope for help. All of those things. Anytime you start going into the 3 things we need to turn things around, and one of them includes heavy prayer and hopes, it's not looking good. But it starts with we have to move Russell Westbrook. We have to. I'm kind of liking Jalen Suggs, the little rookie down in Orlando. I got to watch a couple Orlando games. I know Orlando wouldn't move off a rookie, but maybe they were more interested in selling tickets. I don't know. But we have to get Russell Westbrook out of a Lakers uniform, first and foremost.
Well, the thing with the Lakers is, since two things. Since LeBron is not playing, there's less time for him and Westbrook to try to figure out playing with each other. So that's one thing. Another thing with the Lakers, as y'all know, I do watch the Lakers a good bit this year because of Melo. What I noticed that when we have the leads in the fourth quarter, we have big leads in the fourth quarter. I'm talking about 9 or 10 point leads. Russell Westbrook, that's what makes me mad, because him having all those turnovers, we lose the lead fast. And there was 2 games. We went to 2 overtime games against Charlotte. And against, I forgot, and Coach, you brought it up, Houston, against Charlotte and Houston. Well, against Houston, we had the lead. Russell Westbrook with those turnovers in the fourth quarter is like, I don't know, like he not Chris.
4 turnovers in the last 4 minutes.
Yeah, and then
critical possessions. And
then when I watched the game against Charlotte, we actually didn't have the lead that game. But Melo and AD, they was basically, bringing us back in the fourth quarter. Russell Westbrook hit a couple of big shots, and then the game is tied. We got the ball. Russell Westbrook get the ball. Nobody else touched the ball. 23 seconds.
Yep.
23 seconds on this play clock. Russell Westbrook get the ball. Nobody else touched the ball. And what does he do? He shoot a 3 to try to win the game. That's not point guard basketball. And that's what makes me mad, because like Jeremy, your boy Chris Paul. You think if Chris Paul got the ball with 25, you think he gonna go? You think he gonna whip to the ball? Somebody echoing. Do y'all hear echo?
Yeah, not no more.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh well. Anyway, you think if Chris Paul got the ball with 23 seconds, you think nobody else on the Suns gonna touch the ball? If anything, he gonna set Devin. He gonna let Devin Booker get the ball with 23 seconds. And Devin Booker not gonna shoot a three. He gonna probably shoot a mid range to probably win the game. But Russell Westbrook, Chris Donato. I know it's early, but Russell Westbrook, he's still not playing point guard basketball. Like, and with LeBron out, he needs to play point guard basketball. I don't know, bro. What you think, Jared?
There's no in between with Russell Westbrook. It's either you love what Russell Westbrook do that night, or you hate everything Russell Westbrook did that night. There's no in between for Russell Westbrook. Sidebar: I don't know why Kent Bazemore still has a job, but Russell Westbrook.
Thanks.
Russell Westbrook is a high risk, sometimes high reward player. He's fun to watch. He's entertaining. He'll do a lot of things athleticism wise and all this other stuff. They're like, man, and he'll win games. We done seen several posts in the group about Russell Westbrook has this many clutch baskets. We've seen him do that, but have we seen him do that in games that actually matter? Because I've seen Russell Westbrook lose games in the playoffs. First round, second round, conference finals. People make a big deal, and of course to alleviate some of the blame off of Russell Westbrook, we talk about the 3-1 collapse, and people talk about the things Kevin Durant didn't do. And Kevin Durant did play terrible in that series. So did Russell Westbrook. So we've seen, if you look at the numbers from 2012, you look at that roster up and down. It wasn't a very good roster. Russell Westbrook scored the ball really well. He also turned the ball over a lot. We seen Russell Westbrook in the bubble where he was hurt that first round, and then when they played the Lakers in the second round, he was back to being Russell Westbrook and hate. So it's like there's no in between with Russell Westbrook. And I said this before, the better trade would have been for Buddy Hield. People are like, well, Russell Westbrook's a better player. It doesn't matter. The better fit is what matters, especially with an old team or with a team that's constructed around LeBron James who likes shooters. We've seen all the way back to his Miami days. The most successful LeBron James is when there are shooters around him or people who can score around him at a consistent basis. So Russell Westbrook is not that. Not only was Buddy Hield going to be cheaper, so you had more money to dig out to maybe a little bit better quality players or a little younger players, but Buddy Hield coming off the bench in Sacramento, he's playing really well. He's scoring the ball really well. He's shooting the ball really well. Things that the Lakers could really use right now, and they can use some defense too. And Buddy Hield might not be no defender, but Buddy Hield, I think, makes better decisions down the stretch. So maybe these games you don't lose if you get a player like Buddy Hield. People talk about players like and for good reason, they're not exactly the most starring personality players, but people talk about players like Patrick Beverley. Patrick Beverley knows what he's there for. People like PJ Tucker, they know what they're there for. They don't typically deviate from what they're there for. Russell Westbrook has a false sense of what he's there for. And every team he's been at, he has a false sense of what he's there for. You're there to be the point guard. And sometimes he try to be the shooting guard. He try to be the main scorer. He try to be this. It's like, just because you get a lot of assists doesn't make you a great facilitator all the time. LeBron James is a facilitator. He, makes the right passes. Russell Westbrook will give you the ball 3 seconds left on the shot clock. And if you make the shot, then those assists goes to Russell Westbrook. But if you don't make those shots and y'all lose the game, then you be like, well, man, such and such shot terrible. It's like, did Russell Westbrook, your point guard, your facilitator, did he put you in a good position to do such? The Lakers have a lot of problems. None of them are going to be fixed with one trade. They have to make multiple. They have their players are too old. I said this from game one, and I said in the group, I said I don't want to make a big deal about it, but I watched that game when they played the Warriors, and the thing that stood out to me was the Warriors had them boys running up and down the court doing massive cardio. Them boys are 35 plus with injury histories, with all kinds of stuff. They can't run up and down the court like that. Basketball IQ don't matter if you can't get on the court and produce. And so the Lakers got a lot of problems, and they just not gonna get fixed easy.
All right, Jeremy, what you think about the Lakers? What you think about the game last night? Like I said,
Oh man, I love it. I hate the Lakers, so I'm glad they're going through this. I'm glad they got Westbrook. Where Westbrook is the most up and down player in NBA history. He does great things on terrible teams, or he does terrible things on great teams. Like there's no middle ground. That man plays balls to the wall. Doesn't matter what the score is or the situation for the game. He doesn't understand pacing. If Russell Westbrook and Ben Simmons switch mindsets, they'll prolong both of their careers. I've said it for years. I'm going to stand on it. Westbrook will pull up for a 23-foot mid-range jumper with 20 seconds on the shot clock, and AD has the high hand. That's the stuff that Westbrook does. Why he does it, no one knows. LeBron being out is probably the worst thing that could happen for them because LeBron probably could get Westbrook to slow down because he would take the ball away from Westbrook. But with no LeBron on the floor, no other facilitator, you can't play Rondo and Westbrook together. That is a disaster because neither can shoot. You just got to get Russ to slow down, and he refuses to do it. He's like the child that only listens to his mother, and his mother's never anywhere to be found when needed. Um, he just has to slow down, understand pacing, and know when to hold him and when to fold him. And he just doesn't. And I love it because the Lakers are going to struggle. They're gonna make it to the playoffs, and then they're gonna get their heads busted. And I love it. I know Coach don't like it because he's a Lakers fan, but Coach knows I'm right. And I'm going to enjoy this season. I don't care if Phoenix doesn't win. As long as the Lakers look bad while Phoenix doesn't win, I'll be okay. But no, seriously though, Melo, he embraced what he has going on, which is, come off the bench, give us a solid 15 to 20. And he's been playing great. If Westbrook can understand that too and he just needs to slow down. It's not even the fact that he shoots too much. It's the kind of shots he shoots. You're not Curry, bro. You shouldn't be taking 3-pointers off the dribble contested. Like, no, man, get to the rim, get a layup, and get fouled. Go to the line. But he wants to show he still has tools in the bag, and the tools are all rusted and dull. Stop using them. Get some new ones.
all right. Well, we're gonna move on to the next topic. I want to talk about the Brooklyn Nets for a little bit, just a little bit. Like I said, the thing with Kyrie Irving, with him being vaccinated or not, that's his decision. That's Kyrie Irving's decision. I stand by him on his decision. I'm not vaccinated. I'm not. My mama wanted me to get vaccinated, but I told her, I'm not just ready. I want to look into it a little more. Like Kyrie Irving said, it's his decision. It's his body. He don't want to get vaccinated. I stand by Kyrie when it comes to that. But when it comes to the Brooklyn Nets, I've been saying, and Jared, you know this. You know this. I've been saying since the Brooklyn Nets got James Harden, they should trade Kyrie Irving. I honestly think James Harden, Kevin Durant, and some good role players can win a championship without Kyrie Irving. I think James Harden as your point guard, and like last night, he showed that he could still be that scorer as well with Kevin Durant, one of the best scorers, if not the best scorer we ever seen. I think that's enough to win a championship. I'm gonna start with you on this one, Jared. Do you think the
Let me tell you.
Nets?
Let me tell you.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
I do think that the Nets can win without Kyrie Irving. However, no, I still don't believe that. Like, oh yeah, man, we should have been traded Kyrie Irving. No, I think because I also think they'd probably be in a better position last year had they had Kyrie Irving. I also think that James Harden numbers probably wouldn't be as low as they were if Kyrie Irving was playing. I think James Harden is still adjusting being the point guard, like the legitimate point guard. Because even last year, he was the point guard, but he also had Kyrie Irving scoring. So you can be the facilitator, then be the scoring James Harden later because you got to play like Kyrie Irving, who's on there. I say all that because I don't believe previously, getting rid of Kyrie Irving does anything. I do like the players that they have currently. And I also believe in Kevin Durant because this man's numbers are absurd. But I believe in Kevin Durant. Therefore, I do believe in Brooklyn. I said this a couple of weeks ago. We was talking about James Harden. I think James Harden figures it out. He'll be fine. It's just an adjustment period. Whatever. Everybody has it. I think Damian Lillard will be fine. It's an adjustment period. Everybody has it. They'll all be fine. They're elite scorers. They'll figure out how to get the ball in the bucket, even if it's not with absurd free throw numbers or not with the calls. I also think the way they're officiated, are going to shift a little bit as the season goes. I was telling my pops, I said, I like the new rule. I really like the new rule because I really hated how James Harden used to play in Houston. I used to hate how people took advantage of that call. However, I really hate how it's officiated so far because they don't call fouls that are clear fouls because you're used to certain players taking advantage of the rules to the point where you don't even call fouls that are fouls, or you'll call fouls on people that are not fouls because you're used to their reputation too. So I've seen fouls on Draymond Green because of Draymond Green, and every time they show the replay, it's not a foul. He ain't touching anybody, but it's a foul because of Draymond Green. Or I seen calls that Trey Young guy because it's Trey Young. But then I seen somebody else do the same move. Josh Hart do the same move and it's a foul on him. No, I seen Patrick Beverly do it. Patrick Beverly stopped in front of somebody and the offensive player can't hit Patrick Beverly and they called the foul on Patrick Beverly. In the second game of the season, I talked about it in the group and I was like, why is Trey Young getting that call? And then what they are trying to stop. So yeah, no, it's officiated terrible. But the Nets will be fine without Kyrie Irving. I think if he, with the rules set in place, if he can't return to the team, then you trade him just because, to add another body, or you get some playing time for Cam Thomas. That boy's nice. But I think the Nets are fine. I think the Nets are legitimate contenders, and that's because of Kevin Durant. Even with Kyrie Irving, I thought the Nets were contenders because of Kevin Durant. Even with the trade for James Harden, James Harden is a great asset to the team. However, I believed in Brooklyn because of Kevin Durant. When James Harden was hobbled with the thigh injury and he tried to play, I saluted James Harden for playing because you can tell he cannot do anything on that bad leg. But Kevin Durant was a bad man against Milwaukee, and if it wasn't for his big feet on that 3-point line, they eliminate Milwaukee. So I think the Nets will be fine. I think at this point, if you don't get Kyrie Irving back, then by default you got to move him just to cut costs and get players. But again, the trade market with all these big contracts being divvied out to everybody, it's hard to move unless you move the star players. And even then, if the star players don't work for another team, then it's hard to move them too. Even in trade market, I don't think a lot of teams are going to make huge trades. I don't think contenders are going to make huge trades. I don't think there's going to be like, even though Westbrook should probably be traded, they probably not going to move him. Um, they're probably going to move everybody else, including the coach, uh, off their team, but it won't be Russell Westbrook. Same thing with the Nets. I think they like the players that they have. They got a new mayor in New York, so those rules, those mandates might change, or you might get Kyrie Irving back, by Christmas or New Year's or whatever. So I think they hold steady. They don't move Kyrie Irving. They probably end up getting Kyrie Irving back, and the Nets become even more dangerous in the Eastern Conference. So that's my thing with Brooklyn. I gotta go, so I'm bow out. But that's my thing on Brooklyn. They are legit, and they should be considered dangerous without Kyrie Irving. But I think they're more dangerous with Kyrie Irving.
All right, nice
Let me
take,
hop in
nice
because I
take.
gotta dip myself, Cole.
Go ahead, Coach.
Hey, I gotta dip out myself. First thing I want to say, can we stop saying that Kevin Durant is the greatest scorer we've ever seen? He's up there, but there's a guy that won 10 scoring titles. Until somebody gets close to that, we kind of gotta stop doing that, man. MJ had 10 of them things, bro. Let's
Well,
slow down.
I honestly said one of the greatest scorers. If you want to argue the greatest scorer, but I mean MJ.
Without a consistent three, without a consistent three. Come on. But man, if you watched that game last night, man, everybody I guess down on James Harden. We had that James Harden D Wade conversation last time I was on. Uh, James Harden is that dude, bro. He's led the league in scoring and he's led the league in assists. He's gonna figure it out. All great basketball players figure it out. What you saw the other night was just unfair. I saw a stat that in the mid-range game, Kevin Durant is shooting 71% from the mid-range. That is stealing. That basically says from 18 out, it's a layup for him. Uh, they had three scores in double figures the other night. Joe Harris chipped in with 24, and that game was never in question. Uh, on the political side, there's a new mayor in New York, and he said he's going to revisit the vaccine mandate after the first of the year. So if he says it is no longer mandated to be vaccinated, you get Kyrie Irving in January for the stretch run. Uh, they're going to be a problem. If they get Kyrie Irving back, they are gonna and they stay healthy. I can almost guarantee they're gonna hold up the Larry O'Brien Trophy when it's all said and done. Uh, People don't like Kyrie Irving because of his thoughts, some of the things he says, the whole flat Earth thing. But one thing you can't take away from him on a basketball court, he is a fucking magician. From the way he handles the ball, the matchups that the mismatches that he has against whatever defender. When he gets to the cup, the layup package that he has. With him on the court, with James Harden and Kevin Durant, there's no double team. There's nobody that you can say, "Oh, we'll send to the free throw line," like with Giannis or Ben Simmons. These guys are studs. They are three of the top 15 players in the NBA, no matter how you want to slice it. And I still think that Kevin Durant is the best basketball player on the planet. Uh, they're going to be a dangerous team with or without Kyrie, but I think they do need Kyrie to win a title. Uh, Not saying that they're going to struggle or it can't be done, but I think when you're playing against a Greek freak led team who's actually playing some pretty good basketball, the Clippers look pretty good right now without Kawhi Leonard. I mean, hats off to Paul George. It's not the playoffs, but they're actually looking good. The Warriors are going to be a problem. If you have aspirations of winning a title, those are the teams that you're going to have to go against. You're going to have to go through Milwaukee. When you get to the finals, you're going to have to play a Clippers. You're going to have to play a Warriors. You're going to need that third guy. Uh, Golden State has their two dogs and Draymond Green as a point five. Uh, the Greek Freak is a two dog man himself, and he has the ancillary pieces together surrounding him to where you're going to need that third guy to play big. James Harden was hobbled last playoffs, and they probably get to the NBA Finals hobbled if Kevin Durant doesn't wear a size 16. But again, when it comes down to that nut cut time, when it comes down to playing the elite teams in the league, you're gonna that having that third guy is almost invaluable. Can you rely on Joe Harris to give you 3 games? Can you rely on Blake Griffin to give you 2 clutch games in a conference final? Can you rely on LaMarcus Aldridge at his age, even though he's not playing bad? Can you rely on him to carry you in a game 4 if Kevin Durant has 3 fouls and James Harden is off like bug spray? Can you rely on him to carry you? I don't know, but we all have seen as a secondary scorer, we've seen what Kyrie Irving is capable of, and I fully believe that he's healthy and that max vaccine is lifted. I think the Nets have an easy road to the NBA Finals. This is the reason why they came together. This is why they were constructed, and I think they get the job done if everything aligns for those guys.
All right, Jordan, you back on, Jordan?
Yep.
All right, what's your thoughts on the Nets, man? I know they played your Pelicans last night. What's your thought on the Nets?
First of all, though, don't bring up the Pelicans until we win at least 5 games. That's,
We might not be talking about the Pelicans till February then.
I forgot who it was. It's the bald-headed white guy with glasses. He had tweeted something. They said that one of the I watched Squid Games or not, or was it Saw? One of the two. I think it was Squid Games. They said one of the options or one of the games for Squid Games should be to be able to sit through and endure a full Pelicans game. And I was dying laughing and hurt at the same time. So we just off right now. But as Coach said, it's to dabble too much on this topic. The Nets already are the Nets. I think that they're going to definitely give people a challenge and a run. Should they run and make it to finals? My question for everybody is, will do y'all think, and not to change gears a little bit, do y'all think that should they win, fans, analysts, and everybody else is going to try to discredit them, just like they did KD's first 2 times? They try to do LeBron's first 2 times. Do y'all think Cat's going to try to discredit it as well? Because the reason why I asked that, I'm confused, and the competitive nature is all the time. I love that the players have are controlling their own destiny of the teams, but I love the competitive dynamics of balanced teams as well. So my question is to kind of transition a little bit, because we don't even need to honestly get too much into it, because they are who they are. They're gonna be who they're gonna be with more danger. And LaMarcus Aldridge is playing his career best, having coming back off of the heart condition. So my question is to that to kind of pose, do y'all think that they're devalued should they win the title based off the actions and behavior of fans and analysts and critics of the past with other players and teams?
I think when Kevin Durant holds up the Larry O'Brien trophy, instead of saying "Give me my damn respect," you should say "Get off my damn dick." He's the unquestioned leader of this team. We all saw what he did by himself in the Eastern Conference Finals. Let's just call it what it is. James Harden could hardly move, and we saw what that man was capable of. I think once he puts this title on his resume, I think people need to go ahead on and leave him the hell alone. And he would be to solidify himself as the 3rd greatest small forward of all time.
Jeremy, what you think about the Nets, Jeremy?
Y'all boys be blessed. I'm out of here.
Later, Coach.
Jeremy, y'all?
Yeah, give me a second.
Hey, Jordan,
What's up?
while we're waiting on Jeremy, man, I keep, man, Scottie Pippen, that's my dog. He the reason why I started watching basketball. Scottie Pippen is the reason I started watching basketball, because Jordan was retired when Scottie Pippen. Jordan was retired when I started watching basketball in '94.
Right.
My daddy was a big Bulls fan. But man, I'm starting to think that before they had a lot of resentment before his last dance stuff, bro.
Dog, we can sidebar something. I watched an interview that said that it was he pushing his book hard. I don't know if Scotty got a lawsuit coming up. I don't know if Scotty just hurting for money. I don't know what it is, bro. But in that interview, he said that what's harder to play with, a herniated disc or the flu? He's like, I hear a lot about the flu game. I don't hear a lot about the bad back games. And I think you, July, posted a comment in the group or on the thread that said, hell, we hear about the flu game because of the performance Jordan had with the flu, opposed to the 8 points or whatever he had with that bad back game. So so I think, if I'm not mistaken, I think you had commented and said that. So I don't know what it is, and to go back to it, bro, he's just, I don't know if he's honestly jealous at this point. Somebody else brought it up in the group that ever since Future did what he did to him, he done changed his hairstyle. He's trying to be more how should I say, relevant and saying different things. It's just, he's flip-flop back and forth. He called Phil Jackson racist when no other black player that Phil has coached has even remotely said that. So it's just, I think Phil is scratching Scotty's scratching right now, man, for attention and to honestly to push these books, because we all know controversy sells. I don't care, like I said, like I told a few people, I don't care if Scotty got in-depth, secretive meetings and audio recordings of the Bulls in the locker room. I'm not reading, cracking open, or entertaining this book that Scotty trying to push, bro. Jordan has said he's the best teammate ever. You're a top 50 player, your dream team. I mean, your resume speaks for itself, the whole nine. There's a GIF. I don't know if you remember July, when he was wearing the Jordan shoes and Jordan was retired, and he was pointing at the shoes and telling them to come back. Mm-hmm. And all that. Like, dog, if you resent this man this much, if you said that it wouldn't be no about the Chicago Bulls and all this other stuff, why did you ask him to come back if that was your time to shine for the Bulls, as well as to make your name more relevant than it already is? Your time, your sake of the career.
Oh, I came back at the perfect time.
I mean, this what I think, bro. Like, and Shannon Sharp said this too. Scottie Pippen is mad at the wrong person. The wrong people, I should say. He mad at Jordan. He mad at Michael Jordan. And because the way Scottie Pippen is disrespected, because Scottie Pippen is actually a disrespected player. But Jordan, I watched Jordan Hall of Fame speech multiple times. The first thing Jordan said was, there's no 6 rings without Scottie Pippen. Every ring you see Scottie Pippen. Jordan on his all-time top 5 list, he got Scottie Pippen as his small forward. Like, Jordan respects the heck of Scottie Pippen as a basketball player. Like, those two was the greatest duo. But Scottie Pippen mad at Jordan because he get looked at as a Robin, which he was. It is what it is. Like, it is what it is. He was Robin. I mean, so Scotty, he coming out with all kind of stuff. He said that Jordan flu game. What would you rather? What's more painful to play with? A herniated back or the flu? Which obviously, Jordan, it was food poisoning, it wasn't the flu, and obviously a herniated back is harder to play with. But Scotty, bro, and with that herniated back in Game 6 of the finals, bro, you scored 8 points. Like, don't act like you had this great game. Scottie Pippen said for himself that he wasn't going to be able to play in Game 7.
And he said himself, I'm about to cut you off. He said himself in the documentary, he's like, was our decoy out there? Hell yeah, it was a damn decoy out there. I couldn't do anything.
So what that's telling you, Jordan had to carry that team because he knew that Scottie Pippen was going to be hurt. He knew that Scottie Pippen was hurt, and he knew Scottie Pippen was going to be able to play in the Game 7. So Jordan carried that team, and now you're trying to downgrade his performances. Like, he even said that he was as great as a player as Jordan. Like. Like,
then why you asked Jordan to come back, bro? Why did you ask him to come back from retirement?
And you got guys in a sports group that said Scottie Pippen was a top 5 90s player. I told him that was false.
Yeah, Scottie, the 90s dog just we all like we talk about, bro. A lot of pivotal. I mean, we talking the Karl Malones, Clydes, the Hakeem Olajuwon. I mean, the list goes on of top players that you. It's hard, and it's not disrespect to Scotty because Scotty was a great player.
Yeah, it's
But
not disrespect to him. And this how I look at it. This how I look at it. Okay, you got Jordan number one. That's not Jordan number one in the 90s. You got Hakeem. You got Karl Malone. You got David Robinson, and you got Charles Barkley. So those 5 players right there are MVPs. That were MVPs in the 90s. Karl Malone got 2 MVPs. Hakeem Olajuwon got 2 Finals MVPs and 1 MVP. Then you got Jordan. Then you got Barkley. Then you got David Robinson. That's all MVPs. Go ahead, Jordan.
And everybody you just named was a number 1 option. Scotty was always a number 2 option. So it's hard for you to be a number 2 option and a top 5 player in the night, but that's neither here nor there.
And then, you got players.
You got Shaq.
Go ahead, Jordan. Go ahead, Jordan.
He was top 10. He was top 93 and was terrorizing people. So you got to think about that. Scotty was top 10, definitely not top 5 in the 90s, man. Scotty mad at Mike when he really should be mad at the media. The media disrespected Scotty more than Jordan ever did. Jordan never said anything bad about him other than when he said he was being selfish about sitting out with the back injury instead of having surgery. Other than that, Jordan has never said anything bad about Pippen, ever. But because the stories and the narratives fit what Jordan did. I mean, it is what it is. Where you were there, but without Jordan, you just would be another player. I mean, Jordan would have been great with or without you. Would he have won 6 rings? Probably not. But he still would have been putting up the numbers he put up with you on the court or without you on the court. I mean, he basically had the same output defensively, assist-wise, rebounding, steals, but double your points.
Hey, Jeremy, and I'm glad that you bring up Shaq because I was debating with a few people in the group. I got Shaq over Pippen too. I mean, Shaq rookie year. I think he averaged like 23 and 13, 23 points, 13 rebounds a game. Scottie Pippen never averaged 23 points in his whole career. Even when Jordan was out, Scottie Pippen still never averaged 13 points. And Shaq came in the league dominating as a rookie. And all throughout the 90s, like, Shaq was that dude. Like, really. So I got Shaq ahead of Scottie Pippen. You know who else I have over Scottie Pippen that a lot of people might not agree with, but he averaged more points, rebounds, and assists in the 90s than Scottie Pippen? I got Grant Hill over Scottie Pippen. So right now I'm looking at Scottie Pippen being a top 8 or 9 player because I mean they got players that you can make arguments for, like they got Reggie Miller, got Gary Payton. They got other players you can make arguments for, but as for now, like I got Scottie Pippen as number 8 in the 90s. Definitely not top 5, but I definitely got him as top 10. And the thing you bring up about Jordan, the only thing he said bad about Scottie Pippen was that he was selfish. Jordan, he probably didn't have to say it like that. But at the same time, Scottie Pippen was in that documentary too. So he knew what was being filmed. He knew what would air. He commented on it. He said why he sat out. Like, so I'm not really getting why. I'm not getting exactly why Scottie Pippen is angry towards Jordan. Now, Scottie Pippen want to be angry towards people like Skip Bayless, who says Scottie Pippen is not even a top 50 greatest player. That's the disrespect I'm talking about, because that's definitely out of line. Scottie Pippen definitely a top 50 player. He a top 30 player, like between 25 and 30. Let me get out there.
It's also Skip Bayless, who made a career off of controversial one-liners. So so to me, once again, I think this fake outrage, this Karen outrage, is to push his book. Nothing more, nothing less.
I don't know, bro. Like Scottie Pippen, bro, like it's like he doing a lot to sell this book. I mean, if he doing this to sell the book, I mean, it is what it is. But like he even went out went at Barkley and Hakeem. You heard that? You seen what he said about them?
No, update me
So,
on that. Honestly, I'm about to loop
so
on that.
So he said when he went to the Rockets, he was expecting them to be a super team, but Charles Barkley wasn't committed. Charles Barkley wasn't committed to basketball as much as he was, and he said Hakeem was diminished at that point. That's what he
Yeah,
said.
he said that a couple of times.
Look,
He even
Scott,
said, I
Go ahead,
remember
John.
him saying specifically that. I remember him saying specifically that Walker was fat and lazy in Houston, and that Hakeem was washed up. That's not the first time he said that.
man, all I know is that Scotty, after Scotty officially printed and pressed his book, Scotty woke up every day since and chose violence. That boy is reckless.
Look, I made a post. I made a post about the Portland Trailblazers. I wanna see if I can find it. I made a post about the Portland Trailblazers. There's a picture of Damon Stoudemire. Anyway, I'm gonna try to find it, but I'm gonna just explain. So I heard Nick Wright say on First Take that Scottie Pippen, he when Jordan retired, he left the Bulls. He had that one season with the Rockets. Then he went to the Portland Trailblazers, and he took them to the Western Conference Finals. So I made a post because for some reason in the group, if you're not a Jordan fan, if you're a LeBron fan, you're not a Jordan fan. Like, so people in the group, like they going hard for Scottie Pippen right now. They saying Scottie Pippen, he did this, he did that, but they're not educated. The reason, let me try to find this post. I know I did it somewhere. Yeah, this is the post right here. Hold on. I found it. Okay, so the year before Scottie Pippen went to Portland, when he was in Houston, the year before Scottie Pippen went to Portland went to the Western Conference Finals. like Portland actually went to the Western Conference Finals before Scottie Pippen went there. And Portland was such a solid team, like nobody on the Trailblazers averaged 14 points. Nobody, I got the stats up here. Nobody on the Trailblazers had 7 assists. Like nobody on the Trailblazers shot more than 4 free throws a game. Like Portland was a solid team already before Scottie Pippen. They actually went to the Western Conference Finals. They lost to the Spurs that year, and then the next year, y'all know they lost to Shaq and Kobe and Scottie Pippen. But yeah, Portland was already a solid team. And then people say, when Jordan left the Bulls in '93, they won 57 games, and when he left, they won 55 games with Scottie Pippen. Let me tell you something about that Bulls team. So that Bulls team, they had championship pedigree when Jordan left. They added Tony Kukoc to the team that was the best overseas player at the time. You still have Phil Jackson, coaching the team. Where y'all know Phil Jackson is one of the greatest coaches, if not the greatest coach ever. So compared to when Jordan left that Bulls team, compared to when he first got there in 1984, there's no comparison at all. So I mean, that's just something I had to tell people, to educate them on the Jordan side.
I would say for sure. I would say I'm a low level Bron fan. Like I'm a low budget, great value Bron fan. I really do. I'm a fan of Bron. Like I've said, and I'm going on record. I said many times. I despise Bron's fans. It's not the player. I despise his fans. His fans is what makes my head itch because of some of the takes and how he acts and stuff. So that's what makes me criticize the player even more, in addition to some on-court things that I have beef with Bron about. But I'm actually a fan of Bron. I had beef with Wade. I had beef with Curry. I'm a realistic fan of my players as well. I don't just think that they all glory and gold that they can't do no wrong. Like, that's just my opinion. So when cats sit here and try to take Scotty's Scotty's point, it's not making sense. Scotty recruited Jordan back. Scotty sit here and spoke out basically about wanting him to come back, and just the position he's taking, it's confusing.
I don't know, bro. I don't know. Jeremy, you got anything to add before we wrap it up?
No, man, y'all covered it. Scotty's in a rough time. Like his personal life ain't going well, and people been shitting on him for years behind the mic, man. Like it's okay being a sidekick to somebody that's arguably the greatest player to ever do it. Like there's nothing wrong with that. But he feel like he don't get his respect. Jordan fans respect it. It's the people that are fans of Kobe, LeBron, etc. that disrespect Pippen completely, or they try to overgas him. It's like they either giving him way too much, or they don't give him enough because of they say the 90s is a weak year, which I think is wrong.
Let me ask this as well. How many children does Scotty have?
One that I know of, Scotty Jr.
I know he had one son. Does he have any more sons? Daughters?
I don't know. I know you got one in college.
I'm asking that because instead of exhausting all this energy to try to sell these teams, it's sometimes, man. What's up, brother? Good. I'm gonna come. My thing is, I'm saying this instead of sitting here trying to attack your best teammate ever, the greatest player ever. Obviously, in my opinion, the one of the best dynasties that you have created. Why not exhaust all of this energy into your son and your child and help him become at best or one of the best college players to come into the league, to the draft, and continue to give him the fruits of your labor and educate him on how he can continue to excel. Like, continue to expend and expound all this energy on something that's already established. No matter how much shit Scotty puts out there, and no matter how much he tries to soil Jordan's reputation and the image, it's not gonna hold any weight. To be honest with you, Scotty, he's flip flopped so much. He's been hypocritical with so many of his takes, as well as everybody feel like he's kind of scratching at the post, and he's desperate at this point. So I asked that question, but like, man, just exhaust all this energy to your kids, bro. Get your kid back. You know what I'm saying? That's why I asked that question.
I don't know. Well, we're gonna go ahead and wrap it up, fellas. Next week, we're gonna have a lot to talk about as well. We're gonna start talking about because after next week, I think everybody should have played like 15 or more games or whatever. So we're gonna look at the standings in the NBA. You know, see how everybody looking. I want to talk about the Miami Heat next week. I want to talk about Jimmy Butler, the Morris twins with Nikola Jokic. I want to talk about the Miami Heat. They got some good games coming on this week. I want to get a detailed breakdown of each game. But yeah, definitely we be back next week, fellas.
Definitely, man. Always a pleasure, and definitely look forward to it. Y'all have a great weekend.
Oh yeah, man. God bless y'all boys. Be safe. I look forward to all of these, man. I'm gonna try to participate a little more, talk a little more trash, but it's been great, man. I appreciate y'all boys. Y'all be safe out there, man.
Most definitely.
Oh yeah, y'all have a blessed one, fellas.
You too, bro.